Good morning, friends. I pray that wherever in the world you are right now, that the next 2 minutes are a blessing to you, so you can be the blessing to the people the Lord has put in your life today. So in the summertime, I go to a church. Well, it's not really a church. It's called a tabernacle. It's really kind of like a speaking center on Sundays, but they have worship and they have a message. And they bring somebody new in every week, so you get to hear a lot of different perspectives about the gospel and their life, and sometimes they bring a minister in and they do kind of a more traditional service, and sometimes they bring in somebody who is just there to share their testimony. And this past week it was raining, and I'll admit I wasn't planning on going. I was going to go to another service, but they had this guy from a show called American Ninja Warrior. And all I kept thinking, this is terrible, but all I kept thinking, as this guy walked on stage, he's young, he's fit, he's into, swinging on stuff and being on reality television. And I'm thinking, there is literally nothing that he and I have in common. This is what I'm thinking as I'm being very honest. This is what I'm thinking as he's kind of walking up to stage. And I'm just saying to myself, this is gonna be interesting. And so he kind of shares, and literally we probably have nothing in common. He shares kind of his life story. He had been homeschooled his whole life, and he had done a lot of work in ministry as a child. It's an interesting story. His parents kind of had fallen away from the church, and his mother couldn't get pregnant, so she dedicated her children to the Lord. She's like, if I have kids, you can have them. And as a result, she had 5 kids, and her entire family is now working full-time in ministry. But that's kind of an aside. Anyway, so he had all these jobs. He had one job as a rodeo clown. He had some other job as doing children's ministry with puppets, and then he got into fitness at some point, and then he started in with this American Ninja Warrior, where he has been very outspoken, apparently, about his faith and in these seasons. And, I grew up very, very, very differently than this. But as I'm listening to his story, while we have absolutely nothing in common except for the fact that we were sitting in that room on Sunday, I was thinking about, as he was telling the story of how he at different points God had asked him to yield his life and his career to him, and how he talked about how God has taken care of him, and he's seen evidence of that throughout his life, and how this kid, he just loves the Lord. He loves the Lord, and he wants to serve the Lord. And I kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, we have absolutely nothing in common except for the crux and core of our lives. And I was just thinking while I was listening to this, like how beautiful it is that God puts his people everywhere. In places that, he puts certain people in places that I wouldn't go, and he puts me in places somebody else wouldn't go, and he spreads his people all around. And this guy was just encouraging every believer in there to submit all of the gifts that God has given you to his service. And it was so incredibly encouraging just to hear somebody else's story. So, and I was thinking about this verse because I had also been reading in John, Jesus' high priestly prayer, and I just clipped a little verse of this. It's John 17:21. It reads, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. May they also be in you, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. And this is the prayer that Jesus prays actually for us as he's interceding in heaven for us daily and moment by moment. And anyway, I was just thankful because I saw a little bit of that verse played out today. So, I don't know, it encouraged me, and I thought I'd share it and let it encourage you to share your story, share what God has done in your life with somebody today as you go in or stay in or go out and be the blessing. Till next time, Katie.